What is up, Team JVS? We are back with another review. We are here with Dead City Season 2, Episode 4. There is a lot to kind of discuss here. We found out a lot in the last episode and then dove into even more in this episode. It's kind of, I don't know. I've been talking to you guys and I've been trying to say, like, I want to hear you guys rank at least these 4 episodes that we've gotten so far. Cause it's been interesting. I am content. I am excited with what we've gotten, but I feel like there's times where it could be a little better. We're like halfway through this already, so I am hoping that the next half kind of picks it up a little bit. Don't get me wrong, because what we've gotten has been fun. I'm just hoping that it gets even crazier, and that might be asking for a lot. But like I said, I really enjoyed episode 3. I loved some of the pieces of dialogue, but on top of that, really enjoyed the Herschel flashbacks being with Dama and then having his own room and then just the um the creativity behind that, and the him his room being in an elevator and then being lifted up so we can see the landscape and just draw. It's really interesting to see how they kind of put that in the mix. But then we dive into here. So in here, starting with episode 4, we already are going to have these suspicions about Herschel, considering that Dama kind of just let him go, and in a sense, and I don't know. There's a lot more to it that I feel like we still don't know, but I mean, just from what we've seen, I'm still nervous. Of course, I forgot to even introduce myself. Hello, I'm Busy Braun. Welcome to Team JVS. We do a lot of reviews over here. If you don't enjoy this show, I'm sure there's something else that you enjoy that we cover, so feel free to check that out. If you're into Dead City or The Walking Dead as a whole, I react to it on my channel. Not only do I react to Dead City, I reacted to Daryl Dixon, and I reacted to a lot of The Walking Dead. So make sure you guys are going to check that out. But again, back into this, I am happy with some of the stuff that we kind of dove into. Um, we dove into right away with the Colonel kind of talking about like their next plans, and then that included them having their own little like mission. Maggie, him, and Herschel to go to the city and find Negan, because of course that's their only kind of like the lead that they kind of have at the moment. And we know that's true. We know Negan isn't going to be like a total dickhead. We know he's going to end up helping them in a sense. So that for as of now, that's their only bet. But obviously, they're putting themselves on the line with them talking about how Negan was killed, and the Colonel literally got a promotion because he's known as what, the Negan Slayer. And Lucia's, I believe I feel like I'm saying her name wrong, but Dasha Blanco's character. Obviously, we are at a point where I love the actress. The character is annoying, dog, and I think that is part of that's supposed to be the whole thing. Like, her character is a pain in the ass, and we know that if the whole Negan thing comes out, she will take the rest of New Babylon, and they will turn on the Colonel, they will turn on Maggie, they will turn on Herschel, and I feel like they're setting up a lot of different things, and I've been mentioning this since like the first episode with Ginny. Ginny is in a position where she wants revenge. She doesn't really know her place right now. The role model that she has right now is Maggie, and of course they got stuff going on there. She kind of blurted out, "You're not my mom. I don't need you," and Herschel's not helping with the situation, as we saw with him saying, "Oh, you like this is my mom. I'll help her. You go do your own thing." When the boats have fallen apart, and didn't help that they keep highlighting shots of Ginny focusing in on Maggie and Herschel during like them like bonding or whatever, and it's very obvious what's going on. I don't know what they're kind of like leaning into with Ginny, because I really like her and I really don't want to see her go on too much of a villainous arc. But with the way it's headed, I'm not sure, because it looks like Herschel's down that path too. So right now they're just pulling out the kids, and they're driving me nuts, cuz I made this clear. I made this joke. I said it's not The Walking Dead unless we have an annoying kid. And right now they're not too annoying, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we're getting to a point where one of them is going to do something insane that's going to cost another character's life, and it's going to piss us off as fans. And it I can smell it. Like that's basically where we are right now. And man, it's getting me really nervous. But I think the one thing that really sold the deal was with Lucia finding Ginny's bag. Of course, Ginny walks in, grabs the bag, but she already had the gun. And then we have that piece of dialogue where she talks about, like, because I think Ginny she was listening a little better when Ginny straight up said, like, I'm going after the man that killed my dad, and I think she totally understood that. But the way she worded things was just felt a little manipulative, you know. You know, the talking about her family in like outside of Jacksonville, and then talking about how the governor kind of gave her that purpose, and everyone was feared her, and now she, you know, there was just so much to it. And then she went on about, like, you know, she didn't believe that, you know, she believed in justice, and she also believed that crimes and murder should not go like unpunished. And it was just, you know, hearing her kind of like talk like that got me really nervous, because I think Ginny was already kind of like fighting that inner demon within her, that having that little inner battle, kind of figuring out if she should go that route, and if she should even do what she was thinking of doing. But having somebody like that talk to her ear, give her the gun back, I think didn't help the case. And you know, we're getting closer and closer to the point where they all are going to see Negan, and it's gonna be a mess. But I will say, diving into this, I mean, we start back up again with Dama and everything, and them kind of going to one of the other groups that are in New York City. And again, I keep highlighting this. I really love that they're diving into the different groups that are in this, you know, on the island, because realistically, it's like it's a big place, so there are going to be multiple groups, and then multiple people behind, you know, different villainous acts, and you know they all want their own thing, so it's kind of crazy. But we're further introduced to this character who, of course, is just another douchebag. You know, I feel like most of the leaders are, but it just seeing the way he kind of like portrays himself, the way he kind of like puts himself out there. It's just it kind of got me a little nervous, because we don't need any more people like this. But it ended up leading to, of course, us having this big feast. And of course, Adama even looked a little nervous there, and she was kind of even getting fed up with some of the words he was playing at. But on top of that, the Croat was getting really, really impatient. I feel like this is like the most impatient that we've seen him, considering that they were like mocking his accent, doing all these different things. And I think there's times where not only was he getting pissed off with this group, but he was also getting jealous of Negan, because Negan is in a position where the Croat almost screwed things up a couple times, and Negan is the one who's picking up the pieces and saving him. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's getting to a point where the Dama is clearly realizing that, but the Croat is kind of getting a little. It seems a little upset by it, you know. And I really like that they're kind of building up that, because that could go multiple ways, where he might get fed up with Negan and tries to take out Negan, which we know he's done in the past, and maybe not in a violent way, but in a sense where he's kind of snitching on him. But could also go to the point where he kind of loses his mind so much he goes after the Dama for not kind of maybe appreciating him as much. And we know the Croat is nuts, and I feel like we've seen a decent amount of that in this season. But I feel like with the way they kind of portrayed him in the first season, I'm expecting it even more. I'm expecting him to kind of just lose his mind. And we kind of saw him kind of go off the edge with when they were talking about, hey, like, I am more than welcome to join your team, but I think the best idea is, you know, if we have our own you know, station over here where we can have our, you know, everything kind of set up. And what is it, what was the I keep forgetting what it's called, not mental, oh my god. Anyways, the way he was just talking about things, I mean, he understands the resource is important, but he was kind of losing his shit. And then of course Negan kind of having the idea of them observing the whole UFC fight, if you will. That was probably one of the best twists, because we have them talking about and sharing stories about how he grew up, he was an important person, he had a bodyguard. That bodyguard taught him a lot. And we see earlier in the episode where he's feeding rats to this creature, and we're over here thinking that that's just another walker. He had his bodyguard eating live rats, and then he had his bodyguard taking out other walkers. And I mean, obviously, that's a whole sick situation, because I think it was the Croat who even said, "Oh, you're clearly pumping up that walker with something." And then we have that whole situation where Negan is trying to, like, you know, guide the walker so his walker can win. But we see the eyes were just so alive, and at that moment I'm just like, bro, like, is Negan gonna allow this guy to die? Like, how is this gonna work? Because part of me thought he was gonna let him get bit. That way we can hear the guy shriek because we know the walkers aren't gonna yell. But then they just go around and he ends up saving the guy and ends up whispering something into the dude's ear, and that just felt like good old Negan, man. I really love that. And speaking of good old Negan, and I mean, I know I'm changing paths right now because I really enjoyed what they did there, but the reunion between Maggie and Negan is something that we've been waiting for, and we finally got it, man. And I think that they handled it brilliantly. I mean, I'm talking about the intro part. I feel like it could have gone even crazier, but I'm talking about the way he kind of notices her. Because part of me thought when they noticed him kind of getting the walker from the tow truck, I think it was, I thought she was gonna like poke her head up from the building and he was gonna notice her and then kind of just walk up to the rooftop. But no, we hear the iconic whistle, the whistle, man, and just the I'm nowhere near as good as them, but you get what I'm saying. To see them kind of just him like his whole demeanor changed and he just, it was really interesting. Really really interesting to see how that kind of played out. And then of course, Maggie still has all this resentment for him, which again, I understand it's justified. She didn't try to kill him in that moment, so it's a step up. But at the same time, we got the Colonel, Maggie, and Negan meeting up, and that's where Negan, of course, reveals everything about Annie and all that. Which I mean, like Jeffrey Dean Morgan's a great actor, and just seeing the way he kind of expressed that yet pure emotion when he was talking about all that was just it was depressing, man. But again, leading up to uh the Negan reunion, we also have Dama and Herschel secretly meeting up, and I think that's one thing that scares me because of course we have Negan giving Maggie the heads up, which I thought was really interesting, and I knew she wasn't gonna believe it, but I'm really nervous because they cut out the entire conversation with Herschel and Dama. I feel like I don't know. I mean, I'm really nervous. I feel like Herschel probably told Dama that Maggie's there to meet Negan, but I also feel as though that Dama knows Negan knows about everything and probably told Herschel that. So although part of me was really excited that Maggie kind of got a heads up and kind of she already had her suspicions about Herschel, but now that she's fully on edge with Negan telling her about Herschel, I feel like it might be a little interesting to see how that plays out because Herschel might, even though he's a kid, he might be a step ahead due to Dama being the one being the one that's pulling the strings, and I feel like it might end up pretty poorly. I'm really nervous about that, but I know it's gonna be interesting. But I will say that there were some moments that I really enjoyed. Again, the Colonel being able to talk to Maggie without there being any interference from New Babylon as a whole was great, but them reminiscing about just the world that we live in now, like talking about Kit Kat bars and talking about just different snacks they miss, like jelly donuts and just a good breakfast sandwich and God, even them singing the jingle for a Kit Kat was just it was fun, man. It was fun, and it's like I enjoyed certain moments, just little moments like that, like them kind of just bonding, and we even have that moment with Herschel where he was just smiling a little bit, like just appreciating the joy from his mom, and that went away quick because this kid is just like he's very in a very dark place, and we see that time and time again, where he's constantly saying the world that we live in now is not as good, or the world that we are in real life isn't as great as people make it sound compared to what they're in now. And although I can understand people kind of backing him up on that, you gotta be realistic, man. I mean, he's saying, "Oh yeah, people were killing each other for resources." Dog, that's literally what they're doing here. But instead of here, it's just I don't know. I feel like there's I don't even know how to say it. I don't want to say less consequences because that can open up a whole political gate. But I think realistically, it's like I would personally like to live here right now, at least where I'm at right now, compared to a world riddled with zombies and with people that could just kill me because they don't like the way I look at them. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's a really wild conversation, and obviously Herschel didn't grow up in this time, so he never got to experience it. But I feel like it's gonna trigger a real conversation between the fandom of how they feel. So I'm really excited to dive into that. But me personally, I'm comfortable without zombies right now, and I think I'll be comfortable for a while, cause I mean, if we're lucky, we get the Walking Dead zombies, but if we're not lucky, we get World War Z or The Last of Us or just any other zombie that we've seen, and I don't want that, you know. So I mean, I'm content where I'm at. But first 4 episodes in the book, I think I had a good time. I think that they were good, and I feel like they can be better. So I'm looking forward to the last half of the season. I know you guys are too. I appreciate you guys being here for this review. Of course, we got a lot of stuff coming out, a lot of things to be excited for. Again, for my reactions, they are on my channel, so make sure you guys are headed over there and checking those out. But just, I appreciate you guys. You guys have been great, and I look forward to dropping more content for you guys, and not only on my channel, but of course over here on TeamJVS. We have a bunch of other reviews. We have a movie review that will be dropping later this week, or yeah, no, later next week. No. Yeah. So we got things coming out, but we also have something that dropped last week as well. Um, so I hope you guys are enjoying, the long weekend, and you guys are doing great. You guys are awesome. I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate the love that you guys have shown on the videos, and thank you so much. Stay safe, and again, peace out, guys.